Hi, hi, hi. Welcome, beautiful souls. Oh, few technical glitches, but we're getting there. So we'll just get one or two more things set up. Hopefully Larkin will find me because she's probably sat in the other studio that's not running for one reason or another. It started and then it stopped. So I think I may have double clicked by accident, as you do. So anyway, hopefully any minute now we will get going. Just going to do the usual process of a quick check on Facebook, make sure everything's going live and seeing, because there'll be one that comes up that probably shows that it was live and then it will have cancelled out, but it's looking promising so far. So I'll just hopefully get to see a few of you popping in. Hi Tracy, lovely to see you. Thanks for finding us again. I ended up cancelling out the previous one. Hi Tanya, lovely to see you. Thanks very much for joining us. And I'm sure Larkin, lovely to see you. Thanks. I'm sure Larkin will be with us very shortly. So, how are you all? How are you, lovely ladies that have just joined us, Tracy and Tanya? It's great to be here. And how's your week been? Time just seems to be going so quickly. I cannot believe we are almost at, well, we are, aren't we, at the end of April and getting ready to set into the new season, into the next new month, and hopefully spring for those of us in the right hemispheres. The blossoms certainly blooming on the trees here, but the flowers are starting to grow. But boy, do we have a cold wind at the moment. It is, you look out the window, see the beautiful sunshine, and you think, yay, t-shirt weather, go out, and the wind is absolutely bitter. So and here she is. We'll be seeing her room. So hi, Natalie. Lovely to see you, Angel. Thank you so much. We'll just see Larkin's kitchen by the looks of it. She's wandering around at the moment. But it's always nice to get a view of our homes, isn't it? It makes it more personal and a little bit more intimate when you can see us in our own environments other than just with those beautiful screens behind us or whatever. So, oh yeah, we keep getting the rain and the sunshine too, Tanya. It's very confusing. There she is.
Hi, I'm not ready yet. I'm turning you guys off camera. I was not supposed to be on camera, and I was not supposed to be on mute either. I guess she let me in. I didn't know I was let in. Oops, sorry guys, I'm leaving.
That's okay. I was just saying it's really nice to see us in our natural environments rather than with fake backgrounds and false pictures. I think it's more intimate and it just makes it more real for me anyway, being able to see behind the scenes, so to speak. So yeah.
My profile picture's not even up there. That is bizarre.
The what? Sorry. Well, oh, your profile pic. No, I don't know.
That's really weird. Well, I hope we weren't on another live, guys, because on my other side it showed I was on and people were saying hi. And
yeah, they said hi to start with, but then the live stopped because I think
okay, all right, because I hadn't hit live, so I was like, I'm sitting here talking to myself, and it's a black screen. I'm like, I'm broadcasting. I didn't know you'd gone live.
Yeah.
Oh well, such is life. How my whole month's been.
And we're not in retrograde anymore, so we can't blame Mercury, can we?
Oh, I thought it was till the end of the month.
No, I think it's finished now.
Well then I'm in real trouble.
Fortunately, I don't get into all of that. I just blame my own inadequacies with technology.
Well, technology will always get us. It does great things for us, but we also have to keep in mind something that humanity as a whole has not realized yet, which is there are really no shortcuts. So no matter what we choose to speed up and enhance, we will always find that the equal amount of time and effort or fixing or adjusting or set it up will always have to go into it. And so one way or another, that time and energy goes into whatever it is we are using. And that's going to be an interesting discovery, one person at a time, for people to make.
Yeah. I just think, okay, start again. That's always good.
Oh, great.
It's
Absolutely.
a good learning curve.
So many great people on here. Tracy and Tanya and Natalie.
I know.
Welcome, guys.
Yeah,
Welcome, welcome.
it's absolutely wonderful.
Anybody up here? Of course, Susie and I. Yes.
Yeah.
Awesome. I'll be on camera in a few minutes. I got to fix this stuff, and I'm making my mushroom coffee. I'm going to
okay. Do share.
Well, I have been trying coffee alternatives for a while, including some of the coffees that are, well, I don't want to say organic, but I guess are more organic and less processed.
Okay. Yeah.
That are supposed to cause less jitters and less, energy drops.
Right.
My favorite so far is the cacao, which I don't like saying that. I like saying cocoa, but
yeah.
the cryo brew is what I've used so far, and you can make it just like regular coffee. I found that's the very best way. Yeah. I love that stuff, and it makes your whole house smell like warm chocolate. It's amazing, and you can add it to anything. And then I've tried Daily Dose, which is good. It makes me a little nauseous, and it only has a couple forms of mushrooms, not all 6. But it has collagen and stuff in it, and it has coffee extract, so it actually tastes like coffee. It's really good. So I've tried that, and sometimes I add Ovaltine to it, just a hint for everyone. I always add a little milk and or my favorite creamer for a little bit of sweet. You can just make them up just like regular coffee. I have Rise coffee and hot chocolate on its way. I don't think that's going to be my favorite. I didn't choose it first because it was so over marketed, but I do want to try it because it has the 6 mushrooms in it, and it's basically the same price as Everyday Dose.
Yeah.
What else? Oh, I'm really into the chai tea and stuff, my friends.
Oh, I love my chai. Yeah, that is my absolute favorite. Yeah.
I usually mix all this up with that. I will note that on the side of some of the coffees that are not supposed to cause, energy and blood sugar type drops, I will note that I ordered Zend coffee. This will be different for everyone's body, but I can't drink it. It makes me so jittery and sick to my stomach. But there is one I will share with everybody next week that I think it's called New Something, that I've had friends try that has great reviews. So all of these things, guys, can have good health benefits as well. But I think you just have to be intuitive, like Susie and I always talk about, and find what works best for you. I know I love coffee, but I have to be careful when and what I drink so it doesn't make me shaky. And that's why I'm looking for alternatives. I love specialty drinks like there's no tomorrow. So I like having this whole arsenal of and then we invite you guys to bring your special drink to Angels in Action with us. So
absolutely. Anyway, well, I'm on the decaf coffee now.
Oh, me too. I love even the decaf though will make me shaky if it's
It's interesting, isn't it? I have never in all the years I've drunk coffee ever had an issue with it. Never get the jitters with it. Doesn't make me headachy. I can drink it before I go to bed, and I still sleep the same as if I'd not had it. It's just, I
can do that too. I can drink coffee at night, and it does not keep me awake. But for some reason, if I drink it early in the day or before I've eaten a certain amount, it does make me shaky.
Yeah.
But everybody's body is so different. Some people can just drink black coffee with no problem at all. Speak of the devil.
Absolutely.
I love your cup there.
Oh, thank you. Well, that's what happens when you what's the word? Combine 2 homes into one.
Oh yes, the good bed. I know. I enjoy some of my husband's wonderful items as well.
Yeah, so he's brought some lovely crockery to the cupboards.
Yes, awesome.
And some lovely furnishings as well. So yeah.
Well, welcome everyone. We're so glad to have you back with us here for Angels in Action this week. Thank you all for tuning in. Don't forget that we have, we have a YouTube channel. And you can join us. We have the link posted here in the comments. if you guys want to help us build, whoops, never mind, be back.
Yeah, so you can help us build our subscribers by obviously liking, subscribe and sharing all our links. But we are really trying to get the YouTube channel built and expanded, because obviously relying on Facebook and other social media platforms and just relying on one isn't good for us. So we like to just share the love out there and share the way that we deliver our, our conversations. So yeah, please do join us on our YouTube channel, etc. One of the things that we've learned, or I've learned in the process of working with these, is if you go to the YouTube channel and you're looking for these recordings, I do try and upload them so that they're there on the home screen of the channel. But there's also a tab that says live, and all the live ones that we do, so like every Monday that we come on live, you will find them under that banner. So in fact, they will be duplicated on the channel. But yeah, that's where they are. If you can't find them in the front panel, then look for them under live, especially if there's one that you've really sort of interacted in and you want to go back and re-listen to it, because sometimes the little nuggets we talk about at the time, you sort of take them in but don't really absorb them, and then you go back and you re-listen and you think, oh, I missed that bit, or did I miss that bit where I was perhaps focused on. So I do that. I watch something and I'm like, I don't remember seeing that. Go back and watch it again, and that's when you see it all. So yeah, my week's been pleasant, apart from the weather at times. Not just busy focusing behind the scenes on building my subscriber channel in Facebook. That's not been without its technical challenges, as lovely Tracy who's on here can subscribe to and let you know. I'm trying to get it working. For some reason, it doesn't seem to show up when you're on a mobile device. So if you're looking for Susie Antara Creative and you want to subscribe to the Subscriber Hub group, then I'm finding the best way to find it is either on an iPad, a laptop, or your computer. For some reason, when you use a mobile phone, it doesn't show it. It doesn't bring the button up. So it is definitely there and it's definitely working because I've tested it, but it only seems to be able to be found on iPad and bigger. So I'm guessing that there's something in the way it's been set up that it doesn't show on a mobile phone. So that's what I've sort of been focusing on this week, really, and just sitting intuitively trying to work out what I'm going to put into the group, because the idea behind the group is that you'll get exclusive content that won't be shown on the public platforms. So that's really where my week's been, doing that, and yeah, going to work, enjoying work, getting that. We're almost there for setting up the new business that my boss is creating. So looking forward to that coming to fruition, but that won't be for another month or so now. Ah, lovely, Tanya. That's a good idea, isn't it? Go back and screen record. Yeah. I think I've got a program that I can do that with as well. And just with Facebook now taking away third-party platforms, we've also got to look at how we're going to get them streamed into Facebook and stuff. I have got a teaching video to watch on that a group I'm in, she's created one of those, but I'm constantly looking and watching videos at the moment and relearning. But one of the things that has come up for me this past week, and I may have talked about it last week, I can't remember, because a lot of what we talk about just comes intuitively in the moment, is that as you know, I am, for those of you that know me, I am a creative. I love doodling with art, and I'll show you. I mean, I don't know why they've just appeared on the desk, but I'm guessing that's why, as an inspiration. So this is a piece of my artwork. This is done with alcohol inks. These are for when I was creating a journal on how to work with sigils. Unfortunately, the lighting in here is not the best. So that's one thing I haven't worked out yet, is getting any lights. But yeah, so I spend time doing artwork, and probably the past, I don't know, 6 months to a year, I haven't really done anything artwork wise. And I was inspired to join a little free 5-day masterclass on working with collage art, and it's just really got me back into doing my art again. So the art supplies have come out. They're now gracing the dining room table downstairs. So I might use these as a little way of doing some little mini readings when we get to that part of the session. But yeah, just think about where it is that perhaps you are needing some downtime, a way of just chilling, relaxing, and just thank you, Tracy. Yeah, it just reminded me that I was just getting too much into A, work mode, and B, distraction in other areas. And when I say distraction, I mean distraction from my creative side. So really focusing on studying, joining masterclasses, and watching videos all the time and things like that. And then really wondering why I was feeling a little bit out of balance. And then when I got to do this masterclass with this artwork, collage making, I was like, oh, I'm really loving getting back into my art. Hi, Deborah. Lovely to see you. Thanks for popping in, darling. I don't know what you mean, a slime diver. That's an unusual title. Do you look at chat? The chat comes up in our stream, so hopefully that's where we'll see you.
I think that the creative aspect, I mean, is also a good outlet, especially for everyone should have it, but not everyone is, a lot of people use that. That's an aspect of becoming very whole brained. And really, our school system, our society kind of weeds that out of us. And so a lot of people lose that early on. But I feel like a lot of, intuitives and empathic people maintain that. When you were talking about the artwork coming out, things laying around everywhere, welcome to my life. I mean, I have the knit and crochet because I make handmade angel shawls and things like that, and jewelry that I make. And it's always just following my bliss with that. And
Yeah.
a lot of it I'm putting together to be products that Susie and I will both be selling some of these things on our YouTube channel. Another reason to have multiple sources for online connecting, since there are so many changes going on in all of them, such as the ones happening in Facebook. But, for those of you that think, oh, I'm not creative enough, or I'm not talented, or whatever, it doesn't matter. It's an inner expression and a part of abundance and fulfillment. It can be an aspect of growth and healing. It can be an aspect of connecting with spirit, of remembering who you are. And so when Susie's talking about, like sort of getting distracted from those things and then getting back into them, they're exceedingly important. I mean, she and I both have things that we're creating that then become products to share with all of you. But you guys don't have to do that either. I mean, we're doing it because we have a platform where we can share these things and we want to provide and offer things. But if you guys are thinking, wow, I haven't done anything artsy or creative in years, it's never too late. It's an aspect of yourself that you might find, if you haven't done it in a while, that you only want to do it for a short amount of time. And then perhaps you find that you get bored or pulled away. But in truth, like anything, the more you practice it, the more you're making those pathways in your brain. And it helps you in so many areas of life. And it's a wonderful outlet. I mean, for me, I can't wait to come home and try to be creative. I'm sure it's the same for Susie, instead of coming home and going out partying, right?
Yeah, sure.
That's always been so fulfilling. And, you know, you don't have to do what we do in order to be implementing that, as, you know, or discovering, for those of you wanting to connect more with spirit or grow in your spiritual and metaphysical side. That's all part of it, guys, because imagination is a huge part of readings and mediumship. And just to quick mention and remind everybody, imagination is not what we're grown up taught that it is. It's not fake and make believe. Imagination is actually the part of your higher self, your intuition shining through your cognitive mind, and it's real. I mean, imagination is, it's a doorway and a capacity to perceive the subtleties, which is all Susie and I do when we're doing readings. So, you know, our cultures and societies tend to diminish the significance and sort of belittle what imagination actually is. But please do not confuse it with make believe and pretend. Please understand that if you can maintain and build and grow your imagination, it actually gives you the capacity to better, you know, interact with those in the other realms, metaphysical world, connect with spirit. It's really a significant part of the whole being that you are. And I think that's really important to remember.
Lovely. Larkin, I just want to draw your attention, because I know you will love to deal with this one. A gorgeous gentleman by the name of Merle Haggard here is sending me
Oh,
some
sweet.
lovely compliments. But Merle, you're on the wrong channel.
Oh, you're not kidding.
But
Thanks for
thank you so
joining
much
us,
for the
Bill.
compliments.
Oh, let's see. Should we put
Uh,
him in timeout, or let's see?
I think we should just do your usual, report him and message, let his advert go out there to the world somewhere else. But yeah, I think he completely got
They
the wrong
cracked me
gist
up.
of angels in action.
That's
So I apologise, ladies, for any
so
offence that
funny.
you may have felt reading those comments. They just made me smile because they
Sorry,
just,
I can't stop laughing at your last comment now. The
I
wrong
know.
piece of angels in
Yeah.
action. Oh, good Lord.
Oh dear. But yeah, I knew you would enjoy that.
I guess we need a sexy little theme music for this show, huh?
We maybe do. Yeah.
Oh, good grief.
Maybe that's another form of action.
Oh,
Anyway,
yes.
uh, lady,
That's
thank
so
you,
good.
Tanya, for sharing and tagging your beautiful friends. Hopefully, they will join us and see. But we could, and I think that's an interesting thing that's happened. And things happen for reasons, don't they? And I just think this is a perfect example of exactly, Tanya. We needed that laugh, didn't we?
Yes,
But
yes.
somebody else could have got very offended, very defensive, and just really, took that to a whole different level. Whereas Larkin and I are very much like, yeah, that's great. Thank you very much. We're enjoying the moment, and then just dealing with it appropriately. But it's also, for me, a very good example of how we can make a choice of how we react to things in life, and not just this situation on here, the comments that come through from people, but in general, how do you react to something that, in reality, yes, you could be very offended by it, that somebody could be being very rude to you, but in the moment, their perception of what's happening and what's taking place for them is different to ours. And then how we choose to respond and react to that then creates the dynamic moving forward. And one of the things that comes to mind for me as I say that is my eldest son, when he was a teenager and in his early 20s, was a very volatile young man. Let's put it that way. Not in an aggressive way, but he was very quick to flare with his temper and stuff. But he would come to me and he'd be he'd be speaking to me in a manner that perhaps wasn't appropriate. And rather than me get defensive and it end up being a back and forth of, arguing, I would just look at him and say, "This is not the moment. Come back to me when you're ready." And he'd just look at me as if to say, "Oh, well, that didn't work." and off he'd go, come back, and then we'd have a conversation. And I think that's something that we can learn to do, is make that choice of how we react to things, and I'm going to go away smiling about Mel's comment.
Right, absolutely.
It's like years ago, isn't it? I don't know if it happens to you in the States. I'm sure it does, because it's a part of human nature. But we here in England, it was always like, don't walk past a builder's site unless you want to get wolf whistled at, and I had friends who would be offended that they were being wolf whistled at by somebody on a building site. And me, I'm like, oh, thanks. There's obviously something that you found appealing about me to do that, but I just carry on walking, and I felt better because I didn't get upset by it or angered by it, because when we get upset or angry, the energy that it's bringing to you is causing the imbalance in you, not in the other person.
Absolutely. This is so important, because as you know, Susie, as a mindset coach, one of the things we focused on at the end of 2023 with my advanced clients was non-reaction and studying the Stoics. And there's a reason for that. When we recognize that there's a difference between reacting and responding, it is so liberating to us, right? When we react, that 95% of your mind you're not aware of is in charge. But when we respond, we're stepping up to the conscious level of self-control. And, this is very relevant, because I find a lot of people that are, just wanting to say, oh, well, I'm spiritual, or I follow my intuition, or all this. They're missing the mindset work. A lot of people that are interested in what we're doing here in Angels in Action, they either use it as an excuse not to do the mindset work, which you're human, so you can't afford to do that, or they don't recognize how to integrate it, and they just leap off the bandwagon. The truth of the matter is, right now we are in human form, and we have to take responsibility for our thoughts, and we're never really stuck if you recognize that you have powers of choice of your thinking, feeling, and reactions, and you can choose to respond instead of react, which, by the way, takes practice. I'm not saying you guys can get off of here and just snap your fingers. It takes practice, because our nervous system, which is connected to our mind, our brain, and then that's connected to our mind, causes us, and we've been trained and programmed to react. And the problem is that when you react, you give your power away. When you choose to respond, you're standing in your power. You're centralizing your power, and that gives you the power of choice. And you'd be surprised how other people in the world respond to you when you're in charge of yourself. I don't know if you guys have ever heard the quote, but the quote that, the person that is most powerful in a room is the one that has the most self-control. And this is so very true. So I just want to toss that out there for you guys as we talk about reaction and response, because no level of, metaphysical work or spirituality is going to take the place of your ability to get your mindset right. Because as a human being, the way that the most enlightened people on the planet have become the most enlightened is they've been able to get beyond the mind. And one of the ways that you get beyond the mind and you stand in your true power is with your mindset. It's beyond mind, yes, but it is those who practice levels of self-control that are able to actually get beyond the mind. And it's very interesting. If any of you out there are taking notes, which you're probably not because you guys aren't mindset clients, but hi, Michelle, welcome. Hi, Maria. But it's very important to understand that when you're on here listening to like this broadcast, this is just one aspect of things. And if you want to have that awakening experience, you have to start practicing self-control. And really what that means is learning to control the emotions, which are the mind and the body, and learn to be more responsive. That means you can choose your responses versus reactive. Good little summary for this group. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
This takes a lot of work and practice, my friends, but I wanted to leave that taste with you because it's really what ultimately what a lot of you are seeking, what leads to what you want. Yeah, we have to be these whole beings, right? The whole beings that we are while we're here.
Absolutely. Hi, ladies. Hi, Maria. Hi, Michelle. Lovely to see you. Thanks for popping in. So, I don't really have I'm not sure I've got anything intuitively to share at the moment. So maybe our lovely audience perhaps could chuck us a question or two and just see where it leads. So, Tanya.
This is interesting. Yeah, because, well, and this is interesting because I'm going to mention this and then I'll turn it over to Susie. But one of the things I find so interesting is most people, when they recognize such things with their family or a significant other or their, friends or colleagues or whatever, we always have a tendency to focus on the others. What have we been doing our whole, how can we teach it to others? And I'm going to be sort of devil's advocate here. And I'm going to say, first of all, you can't.
No.
You can't. I can't even teach it to clients. I mean, my mindset clients work with me at least 2 to 3 years in order to create transformation. And most of them don't even recognize that they got it through working with me at all. They don't even notice that they got it through the coaching program. But the reason that it works is because there's consistency and support. And one of the things I find is that it always affects their family and the people in their life in a positive way. And usually they're just doing their work with me. They're doing their work in the coaching program, but we use their real everyday life. Well, who's in their real everyday life? Their family, their spouse, their colleagues. And they always end up coming back and telling me how, I've watched this working with people 2, 3, 4, 5 years, 10 years. I've noticed their spouses and colleagues transforming as well. So there's a couple things I want to say here, Tanya. Number one, if you be the best version of yourself and you don't focus on what others need to be learning and correcting and fixing, it's one of the hardest things to do. Only focus on the adjustments you need to make. Even if that means you are adapting and adjusting and having to deal with behavior you don't like. We must stop trying to change other people. It does not work no matter how much we think it works. And people will say, well, I've coached guys for over 15 years. This is what people will say to me. I'm not trying to change them. Yes, you are. Especially if you're a woman. You're trying to change them and make things better. Now, the deal is that as you change your energy and your mindset, guess what happens? As you learn to stand in your power truly, instead of trying to change and shift people and circumstances, what happens is you uncover your true power. You actually begin to become more powerful. As you do that, your frequency and your energy rises and the frequency shifts, and people have to start to notice on their own, wow, why is she so happy? Why is she able to handle making mistakes in a positive way and use mistakes to her advantage? Why is she always glowing and confident in abundance? Why does she handle the down times with such grace and ease? Why is she able to manifest so smoothly and recognize the things she wanted maybe are leading to something better if she doesn't acquire them? And people might even start asking you, how do you do this? How are you so joyful? Why, when all this is happening, are you handling it with such strength? I see your comment, Tanya, and that's okay. Very chaotic. Got it. But that's part of actually what I'm talking about here. Okay. It doesn't matter what you say they are. Maybe, whether they're just chaotic, whether they're silly, whether they're unfocused, doesn't matter what it is that you want to teach them or recognize they need to learn. We always need to revert that back to ourselves. We need to catch ourselves when we're wanting to teach others something. Because undoubtedly, when we're wanting to teach our others something, our ego is misleading us. And when our focus and priority is just being the best version of us, and understanding that the challenges and the chaos and the things that we see that are causing others to struggle and suffer or making our family difficult, what happens is not only are we given opportunities to give them opportunities and truly assist them in their way, but we actually inspire others and cause them to want to know what we are doing. We're actually creating within them the desire to learn, to become the best versions of themselves, to transform habits and things that they would not have wanted to, no matter how much we tried to teach them. So in other words, I'm giving you a tactic and a technique, Tanya, and I'm sharing with you what it is you and they really, really want, what the ego tells us we want and need to do versus what's really there. And in doing this, the transformations within families are phenomenal. I mean, this caught me by surprise after I became a coach, and I saw that as people were not trying to teach and change their family members and help them, but they were merely holding space for them and present, it caused those family members to do it on their own.
Yeah.
And it's like pure magic. You're welcome. I think you're hearing what I'm saying and it sounds great. And so you're saying thank you. But in true practice, it is truly miraculous. And it takes some learning and some practice, but it's a different way of looking at things. And it's a way that can truly empower everyone involved.
Yeah, absolutely. And for me, I feel one of the biggest ways that we can change others not intentionally is to just be a mentor, just be a guide, just be who you are and let them see, by you be, I guess role model is perhaps the other words to use for it, is just let them see how it's impacting your life, how you changing your way of being is changing what's going on around for you. And also as well, part of it is that the energy that you then put out, whether it be a focused energy, whether it be a subconscious energy, whether it just be you as an individual, being peace, joy, and harmony, that energy is flowing out from you. And it will continue to flow like that all the while you're in that state. If your state changes, then the energy around you shifts as well. So you don't even have to be aware that you're doing it. I mean, one of the things that's becoming evident for me is my eldest is, I'll probably get this wrong, I think he's 38 now, and for years I've been saying to him, I mean, they lost their father at a very young age. He was 7 when his father died, and I still know even now that that is impacting him as an individual. And I've said to him on numerous times, go and talk to somebody. No, 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 waste of time, nonsense, all of that, Whereas now he's actually doing that. And I've noticed that since he's been doing that, his connection to me has changed and is stronger and is better. And we're not closer than we were before because we've always been close, but we're in more communication than we used to be. So that can, just by being a role model and doing what you do and, doing your own growth changes in whatever form that be, it doesn't have to be spiritually. It can be like, as Larkin works with mindset, it can be any form of coaching, therapy work that you do that changes how you perceive and work with your energy.
But that does, and essentially, Susie and I are saying the same thing in two different ways. It's essentially all the same thing. It's you work on you, and you become that example and you hold that space.
Absolutely.
Right. And so, and that's hard. I mean, think about how hard it is just to make the changes that we want to make on ourselves. And if someone comes in and tries to, change you or share shifts you should make, you're kind of resistant, right? But if you do it, it's much easier to, attract flies with honey, right? So, but that shouldn't be your priority either. And this is something we really have to get out of in our world. Why? I know this goes down the mindset road, guys, but all of your spiritual and metaphysical work is affected by your mindset. If you came from a very religious family that plagued you with a lot of guilt, that affects your mindset because it's the 95% of mind you're not aware of. So your readings, your connections with spirit, all of that is going to be affected by that. And so we have to always keep in mind we are human. So it's not separate. When we're, everything is energy, everything starts with energy. But at some point in human form, we always get pulled back into our senses and our human state. We're always vulnerable to our ego. So you want to either get, in consciously awakening, as Eckhart Tolle and the Dalai Lama are, yes, we want to get beyond our mind, but typically that's a slow process. And most people won't do it in this lifetime. So we're always vulnerable. Even Eckhart Tolle says the ego doesn't go away. As long as you're human, it's there because it's actually important. It plays an important role. It's not bad. It's just a matter of not allowing it to take over. And really, when we talk about improving family relationships or helping family or any of that, really what we're actually talking about is, if you think about it, we're talking about ego stuff. Because you see, in the spiritual reality, in the metaphysical world, there is no chaos with family. There is no conflict. In consciousness, there's no conflict. In consciousness, there's none of that chaos. In consciousness, there's nothing that all of you want to change. You recognize everything is perfection because it's beyond the egoic veil. So I know I'm getting kind of deep with this, but I want you guys to understand that everything that we come and we ask here, even when we come and we ask about readings, it's within the framework of the egoic mind. And one of the things Susie and I offer when we're doing this is I love it, Natalie, you stay in your own lane.
Yeah.
One of the things that Susie and I share with you that we bring forth through spirit in your readings and guidance is spirit is always sharing ways in which to get beyond the egoic mind, because that's where spirit is coming from. So that is where spirit is going to guide you. Spirit is going to remind you and try to direct you through the mind, but past and beyond the mind to the greater reality. So just keep this in mind. Probably most of you aren't there yet, not in a place where you're going to live like that every day. But if you keep that in mind, that's why you come to us. You come to us, you join this broadcast because you want what is beyond the egoic mind. And so we also are compelled to provide answers that help you build that link to connect you beyond the egoic mind, because that's what you actually want. Even though the ego will come and tell you, no, you want this answer or you need this and that and whatnot. Susie, sorry.
Beautiful. Yeah, that's been wonderful. Thank you, Tanya, for inspiring that conversation. I love how we work in this session.
That's what it's about.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. So thank you, Tanya, Natalie, as well for yours. Yeah, you're right. We can't control people. We can, in some respects, only control ourselves and our reactions. So yeah, it's
oh
wonderful.
My God. Yay. Wings of Peace. Thank you so much. I have another spammer I get to market. Keep
oh
going.
no, no. She's not a no. She's
she's just on. Oh shoot.
Yeah.
Wings of Peace.
Yeah, no, she's she's a friend of Tracy's. That's her.
Hi Tracy. Thank you.
That's her Facebook.
All right, never mind.
Page. So hopefully you haven't got rid of her.
No, I haven't gotten rid of her. I had like 13 the other day on my animal readings.
All right.
So I
yeah,
feel lucky to have
yeah.
that.
No, she's definitely been invited, and she's a lovely
Oh,
lady called Joanne.
good.
So
Can stay.
anyway, yeah. But I just thought we'd spend a few minutes with Michelle here. She says, I've been through the most difficult time in my life since my husband passed away last year. I feel like my heart has been suffering. I think that finally I accepted his passing. And I'm just going to read the second part of this. I've not been fully functioning with life and have been closing off everything. I believe that I haven't been seeing any signs from him because of not accepting his passing. First of all, Michelle, my heart goes out to you and sending you so much love. I understand completely how you feel at this point, having lost my husband 30 years ago. And you won't, I won't say that you won't function, you will function, because the mind and the body is very good at keeping us, alive and able. And that way you're in the grieving process at the moment, so a year in reality, because time is not linear, there is no time, and certainly there is no time in the world of spirit, so please don't. I would say I get this energy, this feeling that you are beating yourself up a little bit, about the fact that it's been a year, and you probably are saying to yourself, or people around you are saying to yourself, you need to be in a different space, a different place at this point in time. No, you don't. You need to be where you need to be in this moment. I don't know how long you've been married, but I get a sense that it was probably a lot of years. So you've had your lifetime as it is in this moment with a man that is no longer with you. And there is no time limit on grief. You're right, Tanya. Absolutely not, and we can take her as long as we need to grieve. The difference that I feel with it, and this is me speaking from my experience, is the one choice that we do have when we are in a grieving process is how long we choose to stay in that well of grief. Yes, we can still grieve. Yes, we can still feel that grief as time continues. Um, but we can choose to not stay stuck in it. So we can choose to do things that can help us move through the grief to a point where the grief no longer is there in its intensity. It will show itself every so often, a birthday, an anniversary, something like that. But when you get to come to the understanding that everything is energy, they are energy. They have merely transformed into a purer energy that doesn't require a physical body, but they are still with us. And you may not feel that you've been seeing signs, but I am certain the signs are there. It's just that you have, as you've said, closed yourself off. And it's about shifting that vibration of energy that you're in at the moment. And firstly, it's go through the grieving process, do what you need to do to work with that. So for me personally, I had grief counselling. I had grief counselling for about a year. I also had a loving and supportive family. And one of the things my family did was to make sure that I went out, that I didn't stay stuck in the house. Yes, I had 2 young children to raise as well, so that did take me out of the house. But I was very blessed to have friends who would come, and we'd go out for a coffee, we'd go out for lunch, we'd go shopping. My brother came and stayed with me for 3 months, and he insisted on taking me on a night out once a week, and those little things, whilst they feel difficult to do, they actually help because they keep you moving through, I guess, the real world as it is at that time. It's almost like it's a form of normality. I mean, me going out night clubbing once a week wasn't something that I did previously, but I was married for 12 years. But then it was something I did as a teenager and, in my 20s. So it took me into a space of doing something that was a bit of normality. Plus, as well, you get to interact with other people. And yes, you might be putting on a brave face because you don't want to show them your grief. But again, that is a process, you know. So that putting on the brave face, if you like, is helping you to become unstuck from where you are in this moment. And I say this with love. It's about choosing not to wallow in the self-pity of grief. Now, that might sound harsh, but for me, that's the reality of where I felt I was at and what I was doing. And with the help of others, I came out of that. Now, that's not to say that the grief disappeared instantly, because it didn't. 5 years later, I found myself going through a process where I was feeling unsettled, um, un- not angry, but not right with the world, and issues were getting on top of me, to the point that I wasn't getting tearful a lot or anything like that, but I just knew and felt something wasn't right. And I was very blessed to work in a job who were very supportive. So I went to them and I said, "Look, I don't know what's wrong with me. I'm having these flashes of not feeling right." I couldn't put my finger on it. Anyway, they put me back into counselling, talking to the counsellor, and it came out that I was actually going through the grief again. And part of my journey had been that I'd been really strong for family members in my in-laws, with my in-laws. And because of that, I was maintaining a space of normality, keeping myself going, but helping others at the same time. And I had just put a bit of my own grief on the back burner, so to speak. So it just came up again. And over the years, I don't feel grief for people's passing. I understand and have the awareness now that they haven't gone away, that they're still around us, that they'll always be there. It's just that loss of that physical connection. And it's a process, it's a journey, but it starts with you saying to yourself, I choose not to wallow in this grief and this self-pity. And then finding little steps to help you with that. What those little steps are will depend on who you are, what you like to do, who's around you to help support you as well to do these things. I mean, I remember when my brother we started going on a night out. My mum was absolutely mortified because she felt that I should have been wearing black, and not going out. She said she can't be going out and enjoying herself. You know, her husband's just died, and it's like she can't do that. And my brother was like, "But mum, she's only in her 30s. She's a young woman and she needs to go out. She needs to be able to get out and live her life." It took my mum a while to adjust to that, but she did. So it's just finding those little things, you know, perhaps a little creative hobby. It's interesting that we started this live talking about creativity, you know, and creative hobbies don't have to be artwork. They can be writing. They can be like Larkin does crochet. She loves her crochet. You know, it can be something that gives you something to focus on, something that brings you some sense of joy. You know, and if you do something creative and then you give that away, you give that away to others, that brings you joy, then that's something that you're doing. Coming down to where you're, thank you for your condolences for me. That's lovely. And
So, Susie, that was so beautiful, and I have not, knock on wood, yet. I have not lost a spouse, but I have lost very closely, and those who've been around in my life, my whole life. I've coached this for a long time, and I just want to say, first of all, I think I completely support everything Susie said, and it's so beautiful, and there were so many beautiful points that I would love to take and elaborate on with that. But I want to also, I love how you shared, Susie, and this is for everyone, especially for Michelle, but this is for everyone. You know, when Susie is mentioning it's a choice not to wallow, I want to reemphasize again to the egoic mind and the egoic collective that sounds insensitive. But I want to remind everyone as well that what's very interesting is that, ironically, the more consciously evolved way of thinking or being present is actually oftentimes to the egoic perspective seems cold and heartless. In truth, it's not, because when we are able to stay in a place where we are struggling and we are suffering, we can keep ourselves there indefinitely. And I think this is a really important part, Michelle, to keep in mind. This is how we keep ourselves there indefinitely. And so, from one perspective, I think it's important to know and understand that your loved ones, your husband, your loved ones, when they have passed on, they don't want you to prolong your grief. They don't want you to struggle and suffer. They're not up there in heaven going, you know, I mean less to you if the longer you suffer, or I mean less to you if you don't go out partying and heal yourself. I mean less to you if your whole life is not destroyed by the fact that I'm not here. And you might be thinking, well, Larkin, I didn't say that in the first place. But what I want to share with you is that your subconscious mind does. Society creates that programming subconsciously anyway. That there's a subconscious, that 95% of your mind you're not aware of, that subconscious belief. When we choose to let go a little bit and let that next level of healing occur, when we choose to not get stuck in a certain place of that pain, and it is a choice, and some people get offended when we say that, but it actually is a choice you don't realize you may have, okay? I'll get to the spiritual side of this in a minute, but this part is vital, because that subconscious part of your mind you're unaware of has programmings and beliefs, which are repeated thoughts that have been brainwashed into you throughout your life, that subconsciously say your husband didn't mean as much to you, that relationship wasn't as important. The quicker you're able to move on to new phases of your life. Okay. On the other side of that, your soul, your souls that have transformed over to the other side, your loved ones that have passed on, they're saying, you know, like, it's okay. I'm fine. You're still there. Make the most of your life. Make the powerful choices for yourself. Stand in your power. And that's one of the biggest blocks of the egoic veil, is to be able to move on, to deal with change, to let go. It's one of the hardest things. So another version of what Susie already shared is acceptance. When you choose to not allow it to hold you where you are, when you choose the next level of healing, that's a level of acceptance. Okay. And one of the reasons I do what I do with mediumship readings and the live, sharing and answering questions about the other side, the whole reason I focus on the other side is to help you guys do exactly what you're doing. To exactly what Susie was recommending to you, Michelle. It's that I believe, and I think Susie and I find this to be true for ourselves personally and for our clients, that it is easier to make that mindset adjustment and to make those powerful choices that allow us to continue living life more fully when we lose our loved ones here, when we know and believe and understand they're there. And this includes, Michelle, even when you can't sense them. Okay, so Susie gave a beautiful and perfect explanation for why you might not be sensing that he's there. But please know that he is there. It is that, and Susie inspired this, what I'm sharing with you right now. It is the egoic veil that blocks you from seeing that he's there, that blocks you from seeing those signs. Okay, they try to get through to us and tell us we're okay. But when we're more emotional and we're struggling and suffering emotionally, it is more difficult to see through our veil. And so we try as hard as we may go to readings and say, well, they didn't come through, but it's a reflection of our own egoic veil. Okay. So just know and trust that he is there. And as Susie was guiding you, as you choose to make these next levels of healing, no matter how hard that is, and get through the resistance of him passing, you will be able to have that interaction. Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And they can show in other ways, completely other ways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to just say crying every day. That's a given if that's where you are at this present moment. You know, you're not going to cry every day for the rest of your life. That will change. What you can do when you have your moments of crying is find something that will help you to ease the tears so that you're not crying for as long. You know, I was very blessed, I've shared this story before, that I was given a rose quartz crystal by a complete stranger. I've no idea who she was, where she came from, or who. I can't even tell you who any more about her than that. But she gave me this rose quartz crystal and that helped, you know, and that's what I needed in that moment. So, you know, it's about, you can sit and cry, and you can cry for a minute, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and beyond. But then you can have a choice to think to yourself, I've had my cry. I'm going to do something now to lift me out of that. Now, sometimes for me, that would be going and having a nice soak in the bath and just allowing the tears to flow. And then that would be it. And off I'd go. So it's finding these things that can help you lift you out of that. And as time goes on, you will find that the crying becomes less and less and less. For 3 months, the first 3 months of my grief, I woke up with a hole in the middle of my chest, and I could describe it as this black pit where I felt my heart should be. And it felt empty. It was a void. There was no pain, no discomfort, but I just woke up knowing, and I had that feeling. Over time, I chose to just think about things that would change that. So it's about really just thinking about the changes and looking at. Thank you, Joanne. It was lovely to see you, and hopefully you'll get the other things sorted, and I get to see more of you. So take care. Yeah, so it's really about, it comes to, it will always come back to choice. You can choose to cry every day. You can choose to cry for most of the day, or you can get to a point where you've shed your tears and you've told him how much you love him, how much you're missing him, and then you stop. I know that sounds simple, but it is as simple as that. You know, you've mentioned that your children say you're selfish because you're consumed by his passing. Now, I wouldn't say that you're selfish because you are in the process of grieving and you are where you're at. What I would agree with that they are saying is you are becoming consumed by his passing. And this is where you now can come to this point of changing that. You know, like Larkin was saying, he doesn't want you to be consumed like this. He doesn't want you to sit in this grief, in the depths of despair that I feel that you're in at the moment. He wants you to come back out of life and start living again. And
I think I want to just, mention here, yes, this is true. And this is where the work that Susie and I do can be so helpful. This is where everyone in the world needs to shift. We need to shift our idea of, I'm kind of going a different angle on this, Michelle, because we're trying to kind of shake you up enough here that you recognize you have more choices for change than you realize. Unfortunately, our perception is a choice, and we are not taught that. We are not taught that. This is why it takes me 3 to 5 years sometimes to help people create major transformation. We are taught to be victims. We are taught that we do not have a choice in what we're thinking and feeling. But what Susie's been sharing with you in her story of going through things with her, losing her husband, we do have a choice. And you're at a pinnacle right now where this is an opportunity for you to discover your power and your choice. And one of the things that we're here trying to do in the world, one of the things that brought Susie and I together in the first place, was, how do we transform the human perspective of life and death in the world, of spirituality in the world, of consciousness in the world? Because here's the thing, if you were brought up to, I mean, yes, you'd still miss him physically, but if you were brought up to not without a concept of death, if you were, I mean, just think about this hypothetically. If you had been brought up and been told and been taught to remember who you are, and that, oh, you incarnated into this world, and oh my gosh, and at the dinner table at night, you guys would discuss what you had done on the other side before you came into this world, and what you do when you all got back on the other side. If you had that type of a life with your family, your grieving process right now would be very different, because you would not be seeing it as death. Okay. I cannot emphasize this enough. I have a very intact cosmic memory. I remember planning to come here. I remember who I planned to come with. I remember being in the garden and programming myself before I was born. And I can tell you right now, there is no such thing as death. There is what we call death, right? It is the passing and the ending of this body and this mind. But it is, but who you are animates everything. The personality comes out. It's tainted by our mind. It's shaped by our body. But even your body isn't physical, Michelle. So your husband wasn't even physical. We're 99.9% space. What made up his physical body was a certain oscillation of the energetic vibrational frequency of energy to make it appear physical. So while as the pain of missing him physically in the physical world will be something that you probably always go in and out of, just at a lesser and lesser degree throughout your life.
Absolutely.
The more you can shift your perspective of this world, of the expansion of your relationship, of what death is, okay? Because you have to remember, your husband now is not any less than he was before. He's got his spirit body, which would appear to you just like the body he had here, only it's not physical. He can't get hurt. He can't get sick, right? He loves and enjoys the same things that were an innate passion. He loves all of you the same way that he did. The difference is he can pick up from his family. He can pick up from you. You can't pick up from him yet because of the grieving. Okay. And that's part of why you chose to be human, was to have that experience. But what I'm trying to say is pull back to a little more of a bird's eye view and detach a little bit and shake up your concept of what is life and death. Because your relationship has not ended, it is merely transformed. And as you learn to work with him from the other side, for whatever the two of you agreed to before you came into this world together, and you remember who you are, you'll start to have those remnants of understanding and remembering. You guys planned this, and you're still working together in a different way. And I know that seems outlandish right now, but one way or another, you have to work yourself out of where you are. And this gives you some other options and a shift of perspective in order to help you heal, something else to focus on, right? Other than right now, you're focusing on the pain and the grief, and you have resistance, and the resistance is what causes your pain. But if you can actually shift your attention just a little bit each day to something other than that lack, what you'll find is bit by bit that will start to take over the pain that you're feeling. Okay. Hey, Christina, thank you for sharing.
Yeah. Hi, Leona. I meant to say earlier. She popped and said good evening. And Leona's actually sharing us a lovely comment as well.
Leona.
I can't grieve for my 3 loved ones in heaven. I can't accept that they're gone and feel so selfish for not grieving. So
what we were just talking about.
Yeah, exactly. You know, your comment there, Leona, reminds me of, I worked with a spiritual medium for quite a few years. And one of the things that he shared at the time was that his partner wouldn't go to funerals because they didn't believe that the person had died, that they were still here. And he didn't grieve for anybody that passed over because he felt they were the better ones, the lucky ones. They'd gone back home. They were back to, you know, full health and all of that. And there was no need for a grieving process. If you look at different cultures, you know, different cultures celebrate the transformation of the physical body into the spiritual in many different ways. You know, some cultures have, they call them wakes or celebrations. They celebrate the passing of that person. They party. They talk about all the good times, and they have a laugh and a joke. I think we're one of the many cultures that don't do the grieving process correctly, in my view. You know, we go into this place of mourning. We have to wear black. You know, my mother's belief that I had to wear widow weeds for 2 years. And as a widow for 2 years, I couldn't do anything. Hence why she got so upset when my brother started taking me out within about 3 or 6 months after his passing. You know, so our whole cultural concept of how we should grieve isn't how we should grieve, in my opinion and my experience. You know, I wore red to my husband's funeral, got a few looks, but I didn't care. I chose to celebrate his life and still do to that extent. So but I would just look at why you feel selfish for not grieving. Is this because of your own process, or is this because of everybody around you telling you that you should grieve? You know, you might have grieved in a few moments. You know, time, as we talk about, is not linear. There is no time. So if you grieved in the 5 minutes after the passing of that loved one, and then you moved forward, you did your grieving. Your process was that long. Other people grieve for years and years. So don't feel you're selfish, because I feel that you did your grieving, but in the way that was right for you. Who's to say our grief has to be one particular way? It's a process that we go through for ourselves, and that's what's important in my mind.
I want to also mention, since this has come up twice, you know, this is a huge thing. The whole, you know, guilt for not grieving thing is a huge thing. And I want to remind you again, this is something in particular cultures such as ours that has been passed down and encouraged for hundreds, if not thousands of years, depending on the culture. And there are ways in which serve certain humans to have their people mourning and grieving. Okay. It is natural to mourn and grieve emotionally the loss because we miss. But the guilt that comes with it in regards to torturing ourselves, that if we're not mourning long enough or mourning the right way or suffering enough, that we feel guilty, that is something we really have to take responsibility for and choose to shift. This is one of the reasons why Susie and I do the work that we do, right? Because this is about we're broadcasting to Chris. Sorry. This is one of the things that keeps people struggling and suffering. Okay, this is part of the problem. And what Susie and I are doing all this other work for is to help broaden the perspective beyond the egoic veil. So even if you guys aren't sensing spirit for yourself, you know, it needs to become more commonplace that we understand that life and death are just labels we gave two sides of an experience that our eternal consciousness has. And it sounds like I say that so casually, but I do. Because I suffer as much as any of you when I lose a pet or loved one. Believe me, I'm a sensitive. I don't not suffer because of it. But my coping mechanisms and my perception of it are very much, you know, okay, it's like somebody going home and I'm never, you know, let's say they live in another country and they go home and I never see them again in that life, but I know they're okay. I know they still exist. I know, I'm going to see them again. So it's changing that perspective. It's, taking what, a lot of people are, they think science and spirituality are mutually exclusive. Guys, they're not. This is science. Quantum physics shows us that energy cannot be created nor destroyed. All energy is conscious. So what are you and what are your loved ones? They're electromagnetic energy that go on for eternity. They constantly grow and evolve. They can always connect. Quantum physics says we can connect with anyone and anything in an instant, anywhere in the universe. So why do we torture ourselves? The selfish part, now that I do want to go into for just a second, because there is a selfish aspect to grieving. And anything that is referred to as selfish is egoic. The selfish aspect of grieving, I might shock you and piss some of you off, and that's fine. The selfish aspect of grieving is not choosing to put a stop to it, is allowing it to start running your life, because then it runs the life of those you love. And it actually removes you from being present with the people still living, the people still in this world. It's also not fair to the person that crossed over, who wants you to live and have a happy life. So yes, that's selfish. It is selfish. It's selfish to force yourself to grieve longer than necessary. It is selfish to obsess over it. Why? Because selfishness is egoic. And it is the ego that says, you got to stay emotional. You got to cry. Oh my God, I didn't cry today. I'm a terrible wife. Well, meanwhile, what's happening to your kids? Are they getting the love and attention they deserve? Are you spending the extra time with them that your husband now can't spend because you're too busy grieving over your husband? That's why your kids think you're selfish, Michelle. So it's not about blaming you guys and saying you're selfish. It's about understanding that if that element of selfishness is there, which we all have, and it's okay because we're human, the question is, are you putting a stop to it? Are you saying enough is enough? Are you controlling how much it is? Because if you're being selfish in overly grieving, in committing self-torture, in intentionally prolonging your suffering, you're also causing the others around you to suffer, which is where your kids are coming from, Michelle, okay? Just to help you with perspective. And for you, Leona, it's different for everybody. You have to follow your own process of grieving and healing. Nobody has a right to, force you into that, just like Susie was talking about. But that's a choice you have to make, and you have to understand that if you feel guilty for not grieving enough, that's all your ego. So I'm going to make this real simple. If it is a feeling of guilt or negativity, it's ego. If it's confusion or chaos, it's ego. If it's peace, it's love, it's acceptance, it's okay. That's spirit. That's what Susie and I are here to tell you.
Absolutely.
Spirit is always at peace. It's always loving. It's always forgiving. All those things that are egoic, guys, the people you want us to talk to you for, those souls, they're not there anymore. They've left that here. So let it go.
Absolutely. No, you can't help how much your heart aches. It will ache. It's a physical response to the emotion that you're putting into it, Michelle. And I'm not saying that you won't feel that. What I'm saying is you have the choice to stay in that or to step away from it. You're saying you've got grandchildren and children. What did you used to do with your family before your husband passed? Have you stopped doing those things? Something simple as taking your grandchildren out to the park to go for a play on the swings. Some form of interaction with other people will help bring you out of that process of where you're stuck at the moment. It's one step at a time. It's appreciating that you have the choice to change, but only you can make that choice.
And go ahead. Sorry.
I just want to say I have absolutely loved this. I really am sorry. I have to bow out. I've got to go and rescue the dinner out of the oven.
Okay, I have to go in a few minutes, actually. In 5 minutes, I have to go as well.
All right, so let's just so for this last 5 minutes, yeah. Right, okay. Well, then that's something else that you have to deal with, Michelle. You know, if they pushed you away when he was alive for whatever reasons, but this may be the moment now where you can rebuild those bridges, where you can start to have some interaction with your children and your family again. You know, for whatever reasons, that was a process that happened while he was alive. You have an opportunity now that he's no longer here for you to be able to rebuild those bridges with your family. Again, that's not going to happen overnight. It's going to take baby steps. It's going to take changes, but the change has to start with you. You have to be the one that makes the choice now to move forward and begin to step away and out of the grief. Find things that you can do that will soothe that heartache. You know, there is always some help out there. Uh, Somewhere along the line, be it therapy, be it coming to speak to me or Larkin outside of this, you know, we do have other avenues that you can explore in that way. But yeah, all I can simply say is you are on a pinnacle now where you can make a choice.
And choice is the key word. I do want to mention this just for everybody, because I think this relates to everybody. When we say I can't help how I'm feeling, I can't stop feeling this way, we're not asking you to stop feeling anyway. We're not even asking you to stop thinking what you're thinking. The next step there is to just be aware of it and stop resisting it. See, this is such a thin hairline piece here that's hard for people to see. It's not the feelings and the thoughts. It's not the feelings that are actually the problem. It's your resistance to them. It's not the heartache that is the problem. It's your mind's resistance to how the heartache feels that is the problem. And you're probably not going to really understand this fully today. Maybe not ever. This is something we all have to have as an aha awakening moment to understand. We're not asking you to stop your feelings. It's important to have the feelings. Do not stop the feelings. Do not stuff the feelings down. Be aware of the feelings so that you can do what Susie suggested, which is see there's a choice within the feeling. You have an opportunity to make choices every time you experience a thought or a feeling. You can choose to change the thought. You can choose how you respond to the thought. You can choose to say, okay, today's the day. I'm tired of allowing this feeling to let me curl up in a ball and cry for 4 hours at a time until I have a headache. Okay, your response is always your choice. And as you choose a different response, the trigger, the thought or the feeling will change. It must. Because right now, your ego has you in a holding pattern that your husband would not be happy about because he doesn't want you to suffer. And your family is suffering because of that. So this is why you're getting rebuttal from them. So just understand, we could probably sit here for 6 more hours and you would tell Susie and I other things that are the reason for the reason, because we all have those. But you have to say, now is your opportunity. And I think your husband brought you here today with us for this opportunity. When are you going to stop the buck? When do you say enough is enough? And I have to take radical responsibility for my thoughts and feelings now because I want something different. Right, guys? When you're creating self-torture out of things that really have happened, you normally don't realize that you have a choice. And that's kind of what we have to leave you with today, Michelle. The rest is really up to you. Unfortunately, we have to do this work alone. We can share here, but then we get back into our daily life and we have to, it's when we're alone or with others in tough circumstance, we have to really put this into practice. But I want to give you a token of hope here. The first few times are the hardest. Once you start training yourself to make these choices that are so uncomfortable and so different, you're going to start to feel stepping into your power and you're going to start to feel better.
Yeah, I think sometimes when we're in that grief and our pain is giving us a feeling. It's there. That becomes our comfort zone, no matter how painful the comfort zone is. So it's about changing that comfort zone and breaking out of it. You know, Larkin made the perfect example there of curling up in a ball and staying in that ball. I can remember doing that. I can remember the pain being so intense that I just laid on the floor and wanted to curl up and die. You know, you do, you know, and I think for me, and I'm not saying this will happen for you, but my moment came when I was completely in the depths of despair and grief, and I no longer wanted to be here. And this powerful power, and this is where the angels and spirit come in, and they can overcome that barrier for a moment. But I'm not saying this is what will happen for you, Michelle, or what will even take you there, but this is an experience I had. Is this voice in my head said, if you do that, what will happen to the rest of your family? What will happen to your children? And in that moment, I knew that's when I had my aha moment, my choice. But it still took me a while to stop curling up in the ball, stop crying. And then one day it was like, right, what can I do instead? So I got up and I went for a walk. You know, the tears might have still been streaming down my cheeks, but I went for a walk. I didn't lie curled up in the ball. And then the next day, I went for a walk without the impetus to do that. And that's how the process can begin for you to change.
I want to just, as we close up, read these last comments. Michelle, I'm glad that this is helping you, and you're going to see how much it's truly helping when you start implementing.
Mm-hmm.
We love you. We're thinking of you.
Yeah, absolutely.
And let's see.
Yeah,
I love everybody's support for each other here. And Tanya and Christina, thank you for your comments. Thank you for inviting her, Tanya. I just want to say, and I want to say, yes, observe and accept. And what you'll find is you when you get good at that, you don't even have to work through them. It'll be quicker and quicker and quicker, but that's a long process. But yes, that's what you want to do. And Tanya, thank you for inviting her. That's so cool. You guys were talking about this yesterday.
Yeah. I love how, well, this is another way how spirit and the universe and the angels work, bringing people in, making that connection and just showing a process. Yeah, Stephen popped in earlier and asked for some help around something he had. I'm so sorry we didn't get a chance to get to Stephen, but please come back and join us again with that question.
We'll be back next Monday together, guys, to join you and continue this conversation and start new ones.
Yeah. And in the meantime, follow us both on our many different platforms. Mine go under the name of Susie Antara Creative, and Larkin goes under Larkin Cell, and so many other little bits on the end, but you couldn't find all the links on here if you go back and look. But thank you so much for being here. It's been a pleasure as always. And lots of love to you all.
Yeah. And guys, I just want to let you know that for Mother's Day, I have all sorts of little events coming up. So if you check my Psychic Medium page, I have some things for you as well there. And some events and things. And Susie and I are coming up with some wonderful and beautiful things together for you. So keep your eye out. We've got something for you every day, both of us.
Absolutely. Bye, everybody.
Take care, everyone.
Lots of love. Bye.